Hi everyone, welcome back to the Soul Space. So today is the first video of an ongoing project series that will honestly span probably a few years, but starting today and going forward for the next few videos, I'm going to try and catch you guys up from where I am on this project now, since most of the footage that you're going to see in today's video is from 2023 and 2024. Okay, so to be pretty clear, when I first started filming content for YouTube back in 2023, my filming was really sporadic. I didn't really know what exactly I was going to be filming, what my channel was going to be. I just was filming, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that I needed to turn my phone horizontal for YouTube. So a lot of these clips are going to be filmed in the vertical dimension, and I'm sorry about that. That's just going to be what it is for this video. I guess just a quick backstory. The reason I'm doing this series is because back in June of 2023, when I moved into my house, I realized that a lot of the projects that I wanted to do inside the house were gonna need to be put on hold. I have some moisture issues in my crawl space. Just this house being built in the 50s, the span of the floor joists are just not really cutting it. And so there's a lot of sagging in my floors, just some structural work that needs to be done there. And so I didn't want to spend and invest a bunch of time in the inside yet, just because first of all, I need to save money to get those repairs made. I've had a structural engineer come out and he's drafted up plans on what kind of piers need to be repaired or added. Some joists maybe need to be replaced. I'm not 100% sure of the scope because I looked at it a while ago, like a year ago when I got the engineer out here, and I haven't really looked at it since. With that being said, I didn't want to, invest all this large amount of money on the inside and doing decor related upgrades, and because I already have all my furniture, I didn't really need to buy anything new. For the most part, I felt pretty limited with what I could do in the inside. This house is also pretty small, so I just automatically knew that I wanted to have some sort of outdoor space to lounge in, to hang out in, and to enjoy. So that's why I've turned to the garden, and that's just kind of been my focus, and I've just really grown to love it, honestly. I know a lot of people hire people to do things in their garden because it is a lot of physical labor, but I don't know, something about being outside and outdoors and digging in the dirt, it kind of feels like play to me. I'm just really enjoying it. This series is about cultivating a sanctuary-like place, basically from a backyard that was overgrown with invasive weeds, it really had no sort of design or any sort of ornamental plants throughout it. It was just a bunch of weeds and a bunch of invasive plants that just kind of, the seeds had dropped where they were and things had started growing. So the other big issue was it was completely open to my neighbors. Well, it's still currently pretty open to my neighbors, but instead I'm really envisioning turning it into some sort of private English cottage sort of feel. Very quaint, more of a European cottage vibe, more so than a country, American vibe, if that makes sense. So really I just want it to be a sanctuary, a space that feels beautiful and peaceful and a little bit whimsical. So I'm gonna take you guys on this journey. It's certainly not done by any means. I think this is gonna take multiple years to completely, I don't think it'll ever really be finished, honestly. I think gardens just kind of evolve and grow with time. But yeah, I just wanted to catch you guys up on where exactly I'm at in the process. So yeah, this is part one. Here's where the yard started. When I first moved in, you'll see that weed that's on the ground right there and the lack of grass. That weed, it was the entire yard. And I forget what it's called, but it just smelled and I couldn't handle it. So here on the side of the yard, I have some lattice privacy panels that the previous homeowner put up, and they're actually in pretty bad condition, which you'll see in a minute. The other thing that's going on, this clip is kind of weird because I was filming some dragonflies, and so I've slowed it down so that we can actually kind of see what's going on here, but that's kind of why I'm just like walking around the yard like with the camera kind of all over the place. But you'll see in the very back there, I have one butterfly bush, and then I have just a bunch of like invasive weeds and plants that have just taken over back there. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with pokeweed, but it's the bane of my existence, and it is just like popping up everywhere back there. And this is 2 years later, and I'm like still fighting it. The shed, it just had a bunch of like random bricks and stuff kind of strewn about on the side. There's a mint plant kind of by the back porch. But then other than that, there really isn't much going on close to the house. And then here, the lattice panels are just like completely falling down, and there was this terrible vine that was growing over them and like toppling them over. The vine that was growing on those lattice panels just had a ton of bees because whatever it was is like really attractive to pollinators, and it just wasn't something that I wanted my dogs to be around. As I'm narrating this is current day, June 2025, and so I'm just trying to make it a little more clear because I didn't really narrate many of my clips back in 2023 and 2024, so I'm trying to give you guys more context here. This first clip takes place in like late summer of 2023. The weeds are in full force here. You'll see that there is actually a lot of dead grass and like bare spots in the lawn, just because I ended up hiring a lawn company to grow grass for me and take care of all of the weeds in the lawn, because I just knew that I had so many other projects going on. That was one that I was willing to hire out. I don't have a way to transport an aerator and do all of that, so, and I don't want to deal with chemicals. And the company I have chosen to go with is like pretty minimal chemicals, and I'm like very adamant on like I need a day to go by before I let my dogs outside after they treat, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, you'll see in this clip, the weeds are just wild, and it's hot, it's muggy. I was just trying to get started, but it ended up just being a lot of work. And so I realized that why work against nature? This clip is me having lived there for a few months. The weeds were out of control. I hadn't touched them at this point. This was my first attempt to try and kind of clear them out, see what I was working with, just get some of that pokeweed out of there. And then as I started working, I realized that I was kind of working against nature. This is the end of summer. Everything, you know, really took over the summer. And I thought about it and realized that if I waited until spring, I think winter would actually kill, and like a lot of the invasive weeds and stuff like that would kind of die back in the winter. And so I think I'd have a little easier time clearing things out in the spring. seriously. Here we are in spring of 2024. This actually looks a whole lot better. The lawn was aerated and seeded and it looked fantastic that first spring. I mean, compared to what it was a pretty dramatic difference. You know I didn't DIY that, and that is probably like the biggest wow factor at this point. It just like totally changed the feel of the yard for sure. And then as you'll see, the freeze had just kind of gotten rid of a lot of stuff that was growing back there, which obviously it was gonna grow back, but it was easier for me to like clear dead sticks rather than like live thriving weeds and plants. So yeah, spring of 2024, I really was focusing on the back of the yard, like back along that fence line. Here I set my camera up. Somehow I was just filming the sky. I dug out a lot of like roots and stuff and that just wasn't captured. So yeah, missed a little bit of footage there. Something that I also do is I just like cut like the little like trees and stuff that just kind of like sprout out of nowhere that are just kind of like invasive and not anything nice or ornamental. A lot of times I'll just like take this like saw knife thing and then just like saw it down at the very base, and then like sometimes I'll paint this like stump killer and then just like let things die back that way, because digging is hard work. I will say digging is probably the hardest work of all. Okay, so trying to buy this wheelbarrow so that I can start doing some landscaping projects, and turns out it doesn't fit in my car. So where are my keys? I'm just waiting for my boyfriend to get some sort of wrench kit so that we can take the wheels off the wheelbarrow and get it in the car.
Save this stuff just in case it's this will not work.
Why?
There's not one big enough to fit those bolts. Does not have one that works. Return that. Are you strapped to the roof of the car? Got two straps that are good. Strapped to the roof. Look weird. It's up to you.
You think that's okay?
Let's see why not. And I can get it in half of the way.
It's that.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. That's what I was saying.
Needless to say, it didn't work. The wrench kit was not big enough, or whatever. Bolt loosening kit was not big enough. So we're just gonna strap it to the roof. Just cover the window. What do I do with this? Hook it. Do I hook it on here?
Yeah. We are.
Insane.
Totally nuts.
Excuse me, just driving a wheelbarrow on the roof. Oh, come on. Okay, so after I cleared out all of the weeds and stuff at the back of the fence line, I was really kind of torn on what to do back there because I have a weird situation where my chain link fence had obviously been there for a really long time. Somebody had previously bought the house behind mine, I think probably right around the time that I bought my house, and they put up a privacy fence, but they put it up like, I don't know, 1.5 feet or like around that length away from my chain link fence. So it just created this weird little walkway or like channel in between our two fences, and like I don't have access to that. They did it because the power lines run back there. They're overhead power lines, but yeah, they just, I guess, didn't want anyone to access the power from like their yard. So I guess that's why they did it. I don't know. Or maybe that is like technically my property. I'm not quite sure. But the weeds were out of control back there. Like that was kind of where it started, I'm assuming. And so because my neighbor has a privacy fence, they don't see it, so they don't care. So I decided that I was going to try and prevent weeds from forming back there by laying down the landscape fabric as well as a bunch of like rocks, because I don't know, I felt weird about mulch or like pine straw, just because there is like a power line, and I don't know, in my head I was like, what if a power line like falls down and pine straw would catch fire pretty easily? So I went with rock. So yeah, that was my plan for that. So yeah, I just took matters into my own hands and hopped the fence back there and cleared it out and prepped the area to hopefully stay weed free. After just going back to the store to get more rock and stone, turns out it's still not enough. but I'll go ahead and show you where we're at so far. So close. I'd say for not doing the math, it's pretty decent. Got like 3/4 of the weed barrier fabric covered up. I just have all of that side to go. I split the yard into half pretty much. So like that half is halfway done. I have to do a lot more digging over there. So that'll be for another time. Oh fuck. So this is what I've done today. Just gotta put the fabric barrier down. Those are the worst plants in the world. And just gotta finish this. And then get all those guys back there. So, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like two different types of mulch that I used. This is more of like a bark, and that is more like shredded, I guess. And I still have all of that down there to do, so. And then like the edges, and then some of those are growing back, which I'll just have to get another time. Okay, I'd say it looks like 90% done. I still have some work to do over in that corner, but here's what I got so far. So the point of this video is to really give you guys good understanding of what I started with, kind of a little bit of my plans for what's to come, and really just clearing space for being intentional about what I want to bring into the space. You know, sometimes you have to clear out old energy, old plants in this case, that are not beneficial. In these videos, there's not going to be like really big transformations from like start to finish. This really is just kind of at my own pace as I have time. I'm working on these projects, and slowly but surely, you know, it's going to become close to what I envisioned it to be. I think that this is just a more realistic way of doing things. I think it's more relatable to other people. You know, if you're on a budget, if you don't have a ton of money to throw at landscaping, you know, you really can do this stuff yourself. Next week, I think will be a little bit more exciting. I'm gonna add some things rather than just like take things away. So I think that'll be exciting. Honestly, you know, this footage is from last year, so a lot has changed in the garden since then. It's nowhere near finished at all, but yeah, there's some exciting things coming up that I cannot wait until they are fully completed. And yeah, I'm just glad to be able to make this video and share this with you guys, and hopefully find it useful, helpful, just interesting to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.